So, Julie, some people may not really know the background to Numero and where it came from. A lot of people won't realise it's nearly 30 years old. I know when I met your dad, and people don't realise Julie's father, Frank Drysdale, created the game.
Yep.
He had versions of cards where he'd cross things out, and we were learning to play the game and so forth. Would you like to share a little bit of that background for us?
Sure. 29 years ago,
Wow.
Dad was actually, it was earlier than that, it was about 32 years ago, he was actually diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, he was Uniting Church minister in a very large parish, in fact, one that was too big to be covered. If it was any big, it would have been covered by light aircraft, so it was a very big parish. Mm-hmm. And he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, told to go home, get his affairs in order and wait to die, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, we were given to believe we would only get a year or two out of him, not very long. So he retired, and my nephews would go around every afternoon. We got him a house not far from one of my sisters, and they would go around almost every afternoon after school and play games with my dad, believing that if we could keep him as mentally stimulated as possible, along with all the other health things that my mum was doing for Dad, that perhaps we'd get him to keep us. I remember your mum was
a pretty good cheesecake maker.
Yes, you do like her cheesecake.
Yeah.
So they would go around every afternoon. And then one day, just after they'd left, after being there for an hour or so, he said to my mum, I've got an idea for a game that the kids would like to play. And from there, what he did was he picked up a pack of cards and he hand wrote over them with a marking pen.
I've seen that.
And
pack
created
of cards,
Numero.
yeah.
I still have that pack of
Okay,
Numero. We then developed it. We got him blank cards and he wrote on them, and then it developed through. And we realised it was very, very good. And in fact, back in those days, Paul, you were still working at Edith Cowan University down in Bunbury. And Dad brought it to you and said, well, what do you think? Can you trial it? And you trialled it, I believe, with some final year students to see how it would play out in a class situation. And that gave us the confidence to actually say to Dad, well, you know what, this is really good. So he borrowed some money, printed a couple of thousand packs, went round, much like I do now, teaching it to schools, teaching it to teachers, and sold those cards. When he'd paid off the money he'd borrowed, he decided that, you know what, he was in retirement stage of his life. All of us kids were set. We had our businesses, we had our jobs. We weren't in need of money. He decided to gift the game to Alzheimer's WA.
Mm-hmm.
So Alzheimer's WA actually to this day still own Numero.
Okay.
I publish it under licence from them and distribute it under licence. Now what this means is that they get royalties from every product I sell. Not just the packs, but every other bit of collateral that I sell. So the posters, the tips chart, the books, demo packs.
Wow.
All of that goes to charity.
I think that's really nice for people to understand that, because many children in schools, maybe their grandparents, get an Alzheimer's sort of diagnosis. What I think the nice part is that your dad lived for many years.
23 years after diagnosis.
And, to be frank with you, played a pretty good game.
Up to the last few years.
I think he let me win the odd one, but I just like to say...
He didn't let me win.
I have beaten your dad, all right? So claim the fame of that one there. So that's a really nice story. I always wondered how he managed to borrow the money, given that he had Alzheimer's, but I believe your brother...
my brother and my
manager.
sister, but we had a lot of family support.
Yeah.
Family definitely came in to help with the financial side of that in the early days. So the money, I didn't exactly say where it was borrowed from.
Yeah, that's okay.
But it was returned in full.
Yeah, that's good.
And as I said, the rest is history. We just went on with it for years and years. But my relationship with Alzheimer's is still extremely strong. And every time something new comes up, we talk to Alzheimer's and we see how we can help each other and promote the work that they do.
Yeah.
Because they do so much good work, and then I think, well, the work that we do with Numero is so good for the children with their maths, but in fact it's also important for people to realise that the more agile we can keep our brain, the longer we can stave off dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that. So it suits aged homes. Aged homes play it too.
Yeah. The interesting thing to me, I reckon it could go around the full circle.
Yep.
I could see children who learn it at school playing it with their grandparents after school. How good would that be?
Frequently happens.
Yeah.
I get photos sent to me of kids playing with their grandparents. I recently went into an aged home and worked with a 94-year-old who was very mentally active, and she wanted to play Numero because she hadn't played it in years, so we went in and we played a few games together.
Wow.
So
how nice
it does get used.
Look, I think there's a good notion to what I'm going to call the social side of this game, and I know that your dad was very focused on all of that the social side, the etiquette. Not necessarily have to be the best mathematician, but it's about participating and being involved. So thanks for filling us in on that story.
You're
Jill.
welcome.
That's all right.